I wish my style was more elevated. Elevated style, it's a thing. It's a thing I get asked about a lot, and today we're going to talk about it. Hello, I'm Kristen from Kristen Kane Style. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here today. Thank you for tuning in. I am a style and mindset coach, and I can help you create a wardrobe you actually love wearing. Oftentimes women have pieces that they love and pieces that they love to wear, but those pieces aren't the same. I want you to have a wardrobe where you love everything in it and getting dressed is easy and effortless. So last week we talked about effortless. The week before I talked about comfort, and the week before that I talked about being put together and looking put together. This is a 4-part series that is designed to kind of uncover and discuss and crack open some of the terms that I hear from women, some of the things that women tell me they really want from their style, but they're having a hard time creating. Put together was the first one, comfortable was the second one, effortless style was the third one. Today we are going to talk about elevated style. This is another one of those kind of vague, nebulous, sort of just kind of out of reach, out of grasp ideas with regards to clothing and style is elevated. I want to look more elevated. I want to elevate my style. How do I achieve a more elevated look? This is something that I am asked repeatedly, and I want to kind of uncover this one a little bit, unpack this one a little bit, if you will, and help you see how to begin to allow your brain to come up with the answers of how to have more elevated style. Because the thing is, there are lots of tips and tricks out there. There are lots of strategies. There are lots of YouTube channels and Instagram accounts and TikTok accounts and blogs and Pinterest, pages where there is information on how to create elevated style. And yet it doesn't really matter what that information is if you're not actually integrating it and implementing it in your own wardrobe. And part of the reason that you don't do that is because you haven't really defined what elevated style is for you. So if you're reading how to do it, but it's not actually feeling authentic or ringing true for you because you haven't defined if that's even really what you mean by elevated style, then your brain just lets elevated style stay as this kind of thing out in the periphery that doesn't really need solving. I want you to solve it. If what you think you want and believe you want is more elevated style, which is actually a thing, if that's what you want, then let's get to work on fixing that. So if you're interested in creating a wardrobe you absolutely love wearing, having a closet full of clothing that really lights you up and knowing what to do with it, style therapy is the way I work one-on-one with clients. There is a link down below that will take you to the kind of first form to fill out for style therapy so that you can get started today if you are interested in that. Style therapy really will help you get the results that you want in your wardrobe. My clients get results. It is completely transformational to really look at not only the clothing element of style, but also the mindset element of style. So we do a closet edit and I help you define how you want to look and what your style goals are. And I help you come up with what your words are that will serve as your litmus test when you're getting dressed so that you will know how to put together an outfit and have it feel aligned and authentic for you. I will shop for you. So whatever pieces you have on your wish list and whatever pieces I notice might be missing from your wardrobe, I will source those. And part of style therapy is getting links to the actual pieces so that you can purchase those at your leisure. I will work with any price point. So whatever your budget is, I will shop accordingly. And then once you have those pieces, we get back together on Zoom so that we can incorporate them, so that we can take the new pieces and make them work with what you already had. And I can help you build outfits. There's a whole visual platform that will allow you to truly look at the outfits every morning when you get dressed if you want to. If you want to wear that navy blazer, you can look exactly at the photos of how that navy blazer works with all of your other things and see an array of different outfits with that navy blazer and get dressed accordingly. So it is a really interactive, really fun program, and it gets you results. So if you've been on the fence about style therapy, now's the time to join. You can DM me or you can message down below. DM me over on Instagram at Kristen Kane Style or message me down below and I can answer any of your questions. Let's talk about elevated style. This is one I hear a lot. Women want to have a more elevated style. They want to elevate their style. What does that even mean? So from a definition standpoint, I jotted down a few things. So uplifted, raised, refined, elevated, makes sense. Situated or placed higher than the surrounding area, up a notch, next level. So that makes sense, right? When we get dressed, oftentimes, or when we get to a certain point in our life where usually it's some sort of circumstance has changed and we're kind of coming up for air again, or we're really tired of not feeling like our style is elevated and dialed in and as fabulous as it could be, we decide, okay, I'm ready to step it up a notch. I hear that a lot actually with clients. The clients who just went through the outfit lab recently, a lot of them mentioned wanting to have elevated style and to bring it up a notch and to take their style to the next level. So this idea of elevated style is great, and your brain likes the vagueness of that because then it doesn't actually have to solve anything. Vague doesn't allow your brain to grab onto something that is an actual fixable thing. Elevated style is just kind of super wishy-washy to your brain. It needs actual tangibles. Well, what does this woman think elevated style is? And then I can help her create it. So that's what I want to help you do today, is get clear on what elevated style means to you if that's something you wish you had. So what makes a look elevated to you? Whether you pay attention to other women you know or women who are on social media or on TV shows, Olivia Pope was a woman who lots of women gave me as their example. If you're not familiar with Scandal, I only recently, just this past summer, watched Scandal for the very first time. Actually loved it. And I can totally understand why Olivia Pope's style was someone who women would give me as their example of elevated style. She did it well. So what is elevated style to you? Do you have examples from someone you know or some fictitious character or some influencer that you can draw from, and you can start to look at what she wears and really understand what feels elevated about it? Is it that the fabrics are always just a little bit nicer than what you're wearing? Is it that she always has a necklace on? Is it that she always has a great pair of sunglasses that go with every outfit? Is it that she has a handbag that matches every outfit? I'm in no way saying either of those things are necessary, but that might be your version of elevated style. Is it that she has on a dynamite pair of shoes and you really only ever wear white Converse? Might be talking to myself. You only ever wear white Converse, and if you had a slightly more elevated pair of shoes, all of your outfits would look different. So define what elevated is for you. What will be different about your wardrobe when you have elevated style? Will you have different clothing? Will you have different fabrics? Will you have different colors? Do you feel like black and white is more sophisticated and elevated, and all you have right now are bright colors? And so until you bring more black and white in or start to wear the black and white you have, you don't feel like you have elevated style. What is it about elevated style that you can pull out and really make tangible so that you have a list of 5 things that actually contribute to elevated style? Or, the definition of elevated style for me is blank. I actually put on an outfit that feels put together, and then I add one thing that makes it feel a little bit like the next level or the next version of me. Whatever that is, that's the first step, because once you define it, your brain can get to work on fixing it and solving for it. The other 2 things that are important to mention are, how will you know when you achieved it? Because again, the vagueness doesn't allow our brain to come up with a solution. So if we decide we want elevated style and then we kind of come up with some answers, but we don't know what the finish line is, we don't know when we've arrived at the destination of having elevated style, our brain is just going to be kind of loose about it. So will you know that your style is elevated when you look in the mirror and all these boxes are ticked? You have on some sort of jewelry, you have on a belt, and you have on a pair of shoes that looks like they were polished or are relatively new and well cared for. Like, maybe that's your idea of elevated style. Will you have, arrived at elevated style when you have 3 cashmere sweaters that you wear on repeat? It doesn't matter what it is, and for every woman it is likely going to be different, but what signifies elevated style to you? How will you know when you have arrived there? Because your brain wants an end game. It wants to know, how do I get her from here to there? And so if you haven't defined what elevated style will actually look and feel like and how you'll know when you get there, your brain kind of doesn't know what to do with that. And then you also need to troubleshoot. What could go wrong? What are the obstacles that could get in the way of you having elevated style? So if you've decided that cashmere is going to be your ticket to elevated style, but it's really out of your price point, or it actually itches your skin, then that's an obstacle to getting to elevated style the way you've defined it. So you might need to reevaluate and decide, I'm going to buy really nice quality acrylics, or I'm going to buy really nice quality wool or cotton sweaters, whatever the version is that will work for you if you run into a little bit of a glitch and cashmere isn't the answer for whatever the reason. knowing that if your version of elevated style is lots of different pieces and kind of a complex outfit and something that is pretty intricate and involves lots of layers or lots of components, and you usually don't have time for that in the morning, understand that that could be a speed bump. That could be an obstacle that gets in your way unless the night before you lay out all the components so that they're ready to go when you get up in the morning, or you simplify what your version is of elevated style so that it doesn't include quite so many components. There are ways to work with whatever your definition is, but first you need to define it, and then you need to look at what could get in the way. You need to troubleshoot and kind of think in advance of what are some obstacles that could, kind of derail me and keep me from achieving this thing that I really want in my style. And how will I know when I get there? That's an important one that a lot of women overlook, and then they're constantly chasing. It's sort of this never-ending cycle of I'll never achieve effortless style because I don't even know what achieving effortless style actually looks like to me. Where if you've identified how you'll know when you get there, you can celebrate when you get there. And then you might tweak it further. You might stretch it a little further and go a little beyond that. Well, now elevated style is going to include X. But if you don't have an idea of when you arrive at elevated style, your brain's just going to let you keep chasing it. And that's not any fun because you've probably already been doing that. Elevated style, there isn't a true, idea of what it's going to be for everyone. A lot of times elevated style means that you are purchasing a slightly better version of something, that you are elevating the quality of the pieces. But that isn't always true. Elevated style doesn't have to be more expensive. It just is a little more intentional, and it just is taking it up a notch or taking it to the next level and making it look like you tried a little harder, like you put a little more effort into actually getting dressed. Even if what you're trying to achieve is effortless style and elevated style can coexist. They can be one and the same. It just is a matter of getting clear on what that looks like for you so that you can start to get dressed accordingly. And making it normal, celebrating when you do have elevated style. The day when you get dressed and you feel elevated and your outfit rocks and you know that this is me at the next level, take a picture of that, celebrate that, make that the new normal. Allow your brain to feel safe in that new space. Because in all of these situations, looking put together, being comfortable, having your wardrobe be effortless, and feeling elevated in your style, your brain doesn't want you to do anything that it perceives as dangerous. And our brain perceives everything as dangerous that isn't normal, that isn't what we already do. Anything outside of that, our brain says, nope, red flag, that could be dangerous. So we need to normalize the day when we do wear the elevated outfit so that our brain says, oh, right, she's building this style self-trust. She did that and it didn't kill her. So I guess it's safe to have her wear an elevated outfit again tomorrow. And if she doesn't wear an elevated outfit tomorrow, we're not going to make it mean anything about her. You're not going to make it mean anything about you. It is totally normal that there might be some few steps forward and a step back here and there, that there will be some fits and starts as you get into the groove of actually elevating your style more often than not. And that is normal. Nothing has gone wrong. You just want to begin to see yourself as someone who wears a more elevated style. And I would also mention that the same as the others, the put together and the comfortable and the effortless, with regards to elevated style, how do you think you're going to feel when you get there? And pick a piece in your wardrobe that makes you feel that way right now. Like kind of you're shortcutting, you're allowing yourself to kind of skip over some parts. It's a shortcut or a hack. There you go, a hack. To get you to a place where elevated style is the end game. How do you want to feel? Determine how you want to feel, how you think you'll feel when you get to elevated style. Because everything we want because of how it's going to make us feel. Whether it's a red sports car or a brand new Chanel handbag, there's a feeling that's attached to that thing. We've attached a feeling to that thing of how we think we're going to feel when we get it. And if we can begin to create the feeling in advance, either we energetically start to pull the thing towards us, or we realize that we can be perfectly happy and content and already feel that feeling without ever having that thing. And it doesn't really matter which happens, because if the goal is to feel differently, to feel better, and we can create that feeling better without even having to buy more things that are more elevated, then we've actually won. We have hacked the system and we have created elevated style without having to buy expensive elevated clothes. So how do you think you're going to feel when your style is more elevated? and then go to your closet and pick a piece that makes you feel that way right now. I'm going to feel more confident. I'm going to feel more inspired. I'm going to feel more luxurious. What piece is in your wardrobe right now that makes you feel luxurious? Go wear that, and then assure yourself that this is part of building the style self-trust that will get you to an effortless wardrobe that feels elevated on a regular basis, so that it becomes the new normal to wear the piece. If luxurious is the thing that you think you're going to feel when your style is elevated, it will become normal to choose the piece that is elevated, normal to choose the pieces that create an outfit that makes you look and feel luxurious and therefore elevates your style. I hope this has been helpful. I have enjoyed digging into these words. If you haven't watched the full series, the first one was put together, the second one was comfortable, the third is effortless, and this one is elevated. If you have other words that are things that you constantly are thinking you wish your style was, drop them in the comments below and I will create a video to kind of address what that is. But I think you can probably see if you've watched all 4 of these videos, and if you have not, I will link them below and you can certainly go back and watch them. If you've watched all 4 of these videos, I think you can tell that there is a formula here. There is a formula that happens with regards to solving these vague ideas, these notions in our mind that are sort of loose and untranslated, put together and comfortable and effortless and elevated. They're really vague concepts. And so our brain doesn't know how to get us there if we don't get more clear on what that means, because all of those things, if we had a dozen women, would probably be a dozen different definitions of what any of those 4 things would be. So if your version of put together and your neighbor's version of put together are different, it's really hard to solve for that, because your brain looks at your neighbor and thinks, oh, well, that's put together, so let's try tossing that in the mix. No, that's not really what she wants, but maybe her sister's version of put together is it, or the sales girl's version of put together. You need to define what your version of put together is, so that you can begin to take the steps to solve for that, and then make that your new normal and lean into, it is possible for me to have the feeling of put together or comfortable or effortless or elevated before I'm actually that, because that's the style self-trust muscle. It's taking the action, understanding the feelings, and beginning to wear the better option, the option that will make you feel that way that you're telling me you want to feel today, right now, this afternoon. I promise you there is something in your closet that you could put on right this minute that is going to get you closer to feeling elevated in your style. I urge you to go do that and comment down below. I love to hear how this is going for you. I'd love to hear which one of the 4, put together or comfortable or effortless or elevated, really hits home the most for you, is the thing you struggle with the most, or is the thing that is really truly easy for you, and you have kind of dialed it in and figured it out. And how did you figure it out? I always love kind of hearing what you guys have to say. And I read every comment and I try to answer every comment, even though sometimes it does take me, when I'm working with clients, that comes first. But know that I read your comments and I look forward to answering them, and I try to get to them in a relatively timely manner, although sometimes it takes me a while. Okay, Instagram. I'm on Instagram every Tuesday, live style Q&A at noon Mountain Time. You can come ask your question over there. You can ask your question here. They all get saved, so they're all in my feed over on Instagram at Kristen Kane Style. And you can go back. The questions are in the caption below each week, and you can find the question that interests you and go in and watch the answer. And I'll be back next Friday with a new YouTube video. I hope that you have a beautiful week. Style therapy. If you are interested in working with me one-on-one to create the style results you want to create, let's do it. There's a link down below. You can find out all the details and you can get started. Thanks so much for being here. Have a beautiful, beautiful week.